I've made a huge mistake.
We've just made a huge mistake. The people of the UK voted on Thursday whether or not to remain in the EU. And they voted 52% to leave the EU. This was a mistake for about 6 million reasons. So now we are in the situation where there's millions of petitions flying around to try and reverse the result, which, it's difficult. I want to reverse the result, but also, it was a democratic result, and it's hard to, opposing that is, a slippery slope. So do we oppose things that, even if the most people vote for them, it's quite a dodgy scenario that we're starting down the road of. But largely the voters that voted to leave, I would consider them uninformed on the issue because the campaigns were, both for the leave and remain, were awful. Fear-mongering was just rife. There's not much information. In fact, so much more information has come out since we've decided to leave, since we've voted to leave, that, to me it's much, much more compelling than any of the stuff either side was saying during the campaign before the election. I'm not going to go into the details because there's so many. I can't claim to understand every facet of why we should stay versus why we should leave. Because it's just too big a complex system, too many complex interrelating systems of our country interacting with the EU, and we just it's too complex. But it was very, very. I saw pros and cons for either argument, but just to me it was clearly the pros of remaining in the EU just far outweighed the cons. The biggest, the frustrating thing is that with the campaigns, they were just pointing out the flaws of their opposing, side. Either side has flaws. So if your campaign, purely is made up of pointing out the flaws in your opponent's argument, anyone could do that. The EU isn't perfect, so all the Leave people would say, "Oh, look, it's not perfect. Look, it's not perfect. Look, it's not perfect." But saying it's not perfect isn't resolving or putting forward, a positive message for people. Like, okay, so the EU's not perfect. That's one thing. I'll accept that. Now, what have you got instead? Well, we've just voted to leave, and we've found out they haven't got anything instead because all the Leave leaders of the Leave campaign have gone bloody silent. Boris Johnson's more or less keeping his head down. Nigel Farage, who just wants a big party, doesn't want to say anything about the what we should do now. No one's moving forward with it, and you would have thought that they were thinking so hard trying to promote Leave. I guess they didn't think they were going to get it, but you would have thought they would have like a framework in place, a plan in place to reassure. Well, you would know there'd be loads of freaked out people. So you'd like to think they would have planned for that contingency there, or eventuality, and could have come out and reassured us and said, look, this, yes, the pound's going to go, or whatever. I don't know what they were going to say, because to me it's a massive mistake. I live in Belfast in Northern Ireland, and Northern Ireland voted to remain, and so does Scotland. There's a hell of a lot more politics of the the intricacies of us leaving the EU in Northern Ireland, because it's the only place where there's a land border with an EU country, which is Southern Ireland. So there's way more complexities here, and then if we're gonna have a border here, we're gonna have to enforce the border, and then you're bringing in enforcing a border between North and Southern Ireland isn't it's going to have ramifications to the politics of the area. So it's real bad news. I don't know. I could talk all day about it, but I don't know what the point of this video is. Just to say, that's happened. It's a historic situation, the first country ever to vote to leave the EU, and it's just very sad that we've come to a point where media is so lacking. The people are so uninformed, and they're not just lacking because a lot of the media is just publishing lies. Like there's the Daily Mail and other papers like the Sun. They're just they're owned by a very few corporate interests, and they are just propaganda rags. And the TV media is not much better really, because it's all coming from the corporate point of view. It's all about money and the bottom line, profit wise, and how it's going to benefit the corporate powers that they represent, the media represent. So the people, and in general, most people in this country are poor. Like in most countries, it's the the elites. They're the ones that hold the cards, aren't they? So the poor people, are being exploited and manipulated, and it's hard not to be a little bit angry that they're just fall right into the such a silly decision. But oh god. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this little sucker up because it's already getting too long and no one's interested in what I think. But there you go. If you've carried on this far, then I have to say, I don't know why you have. So in a way, I've lost some respect for you. But I won't do many more of these political ones because we all have enough misery. But I suppose we have to talk about these things, don't we? It's our duty, really. Anyway, now I'm definitely rambling, so I will wrap it up. Okay, thanks for watching.